Hey everyone, and welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to talk about some new releases that are coming this year that I am super excited for, and there is quite a long list of these, so I'm going to jump right into it and try to keep each of them as quick as possible. I think there's about 31 books on this list, so a lot of fun stuff coming out this year. And I do have these broken out by the month that they are going to be released, and it goes all the way from January up through, I think, October as far as new releases. I may do another video kind of like this when we get about halfway through the year to kind of pick up some other things that are coming out in the latter half of 2026. So the first one that we have is Beyond the Clouds, and this is a Women of Midtown book number 3, and this is set in World War I, and it takes place between New York City and Europe. I'm really excited about this one. Elizabeth Camden is a fantastic author. I have really enjoyed her books thus far, and I'm excited for a new book in this series. The next one is The Belle of Chatham by Laura France, and this is a colonial era book that takes place during the American Revolution. So that's pretty cool. There's not a lot of books that are set during the American Revolution, so I'm kind of looking forward to seeing what she does with that story. And coming out in February, we have Miss Over the Channel Islands, and that is by Sarah Sundin. This book is set in the British Channel Islands and takes place during World War II, and that is the case with a lot of Sarah Sundin's books. I think possibly even all of her books and series are set during World War II in different locations. So I'm looking forward to this one and seeing what this story is going to be about. Her novels are always really intense, gripping, and have amazing characters. The next one is Marrying the Matchmaker by Jody Headland, and this is book number 4 in the Shanahan Match series. And this one is set in the 1800s in St. Louis. And this series is one that I've heard really good things about and is a series that I'm hoping to get to in 2026. I'm guessing that this is probably the last book in that series, so that we'll have 4 books in the series. So once I start reading them, I'll be able to just completely binge them, which will be really fun. And next we have The Restitching of Camille Dulaine, and this is book 2 in the Riven Lee series. These are by Lindsay A. Franklin, and these are portal fantasies. I have not yet read the first book, but I do have it, and it is one that I really am hoping to get to in 2026. And now that the second book is coming out, that'll be really neat because if I love the first one, then I'll have the second one that I can move on to. Also coming in February is the first book in the Displaced Fairy Tale series, and it looks like there's going to be about 8 of these. They're written by multiple different authors, and most, if not all of them, I believe, are going to be released throughout 2026, throughout the months of 2026. And this is just the first one. These are mashups, essentially, of fairy tale retellings of a couple of different fairy tales. So I think for this one, and let me check on here. So the first one, In Prison Slumber, is Princess and the Pea meets Sleeping Beauty, featuring forbidden love with a love interest who may or may not be the villain. So this sounds really, really interesting. I'm looking forward to these. The covers on each of them are just gorgeous. If you look these up and go through the covers, they are really, really pretty. So a fun twist on fairy tale retellings. I'm looking forward to looking into this series. There are 2 books coming out on February 17th, and I think both of them are thrillers. Well, kind of. One is more of a thriller or suspense, and the other one is kind of a cross between. So the first one is Edge of Truth by Janice Cantori, and it says, one case almost destroyed her career. Now the past seems to have caught up with her. And as a high-stakes game of truth and lies unfolds, someone's out for retribution at any cost. So romantic suspense coming from Janice Cantori, and I am looking forward to reading this one. The other one that's going to be released on the same day is Without a Clue by Melissa Ferguson. And it says, this is a laugh-out-loud rom-com wrapped in a whodunit. This high-seas adventure proves that sometimes the best love stories start with a little murder. So it's interesting because this one looks like it's going to be a cross between a mystery and also a rom-com, and so that sounds really intriguing. I'm looking forward to this one for sure. Moving on to March, we have When Justice Comes, and this is the 3rd book in the Tupelo Grove series, and these are by Colleen Coble and Rick Acker. Now this series is part of the list of series that I would like to read in 2026, so I have not yet read the first one, but the 3rd one is coming out, so that will allow me to read hopefully the first 3 books in 2026. And these are also romantic suspense. Releasing the same day is Last to Fall, and this is book 3 in the Gossamer Falls series. And this is a series written by Lynn H. Blackburn. I have not read these yet either. However, I do have, I think, the first one or the first two on my list to read in 2026. So I'm hoping to get to them at some point throughout the year. And this one says that she's caught in a deadly game and he's the only one who can help her win. So looking forward to that one by Lynn. I have heard such great things about her as an author and can't wait to look into her series this year. Coming out on March 10th is The Liar's Treasure, and this is by Connie Mann. And this is a Speranza team novel. This is book 2 in that series. And these are really fun stories. I'm excited to read The Liar's Treasure. And this one says about it that it is an action-packed adventure about a mysterious diary and a thrilling high-stakes treasure hunt. So that sounds like a lot of fun, and I'm looking forward to that one getting released for sure. And then we have The Star Blessed by Angie Dickinson, and this is a fantasy that is going to come out. I have not read anything by Angie Dickinson, but this looks really interesting. So I'm hoping to pick this one up at some point during the year. And for this one, it says that Star Blessed is a reimagining and reinventing of two fairy tales, Rumpelstiltskin and Catskin by the Brothers Grimm. So this is a little bit of blending a couple of fairy tales together as well, kind of like that other series I was talking about. But looks very interesting and excited to give it a try. Next we have A King of Crows by Ashley Willingham, and this is book 3 in the War of Crowns series. I've heard extremely good reviews about the first book in this series, and I'm excited to know that a third book is being released in this. So this is another one on my TBR that I'm hoping to get to in 2026 because this series looks really good. I love fantasy, so anytime I find a fantasy series like this, I am immediately wanting to dive into it, so I can't wait to get started with this one. Next we have Harbor Point, and this is a Hope Harbor book. This is book number 12 in the series by Irene Hannon, and these are a set of contemporary romances set in a small town. And a lot of characters within this small town kind of interweave throughout the stories, kind of connecting them together. And each one is a standalone about the main characters in that particular story and the different things that bring them together and the different trials and adventures that they go through during the course of their particular story. And the next one that I'm super excited for is The Bookshop of 99 Doors by Jamie Jo Wright. Jamie Jo Wright has quickly become one of my absolute favorite authors. I love her stories. They're all dual timeline gothic suspense, and usually there is a timeline that takes place more in current times and then one that takes place at some period in history, and the events of those timelines have some kind of bearing on each other, and you see those threads drawn together as the story weaves together. And it says for this one that it has themes of a Civil War era ghost, a possible hidden door, and unexplained mysteries at a historic mansion's bookshop with a troubled past. So another one looking forward to by Jamie Jo Wright. Another contemporary romance is More Than Friends by Denise Hunter, and this one's coming out in just a few short months. I have read several of Denise Hunter's books, and they are just really fun, fast-paced romances. For this one, it says, "Who knew that returning home after a broken engagement could be the best decision you ever made?" So sounds like our main female character goes through something that's not so fun, having a broken engagement, but it sounds like when she goes home, maybe she's able to mend that and possibly meet somebody who is the right fit for her. And by Becca Kinzer, we have a new book called Not What We Pictured, and this one says that it's a witty rom-com with a forced proximity trope and a reluctant ally's love story. So this looks like a fun time. I've read another book by Becca Kinzer and did enjoy it. It was a quick read and a really great story, so I'm looking forward to a new one by her. Next we have Jessica R. Patch and The Girl Upstairs. Jessica R. Patch writes a little bit darker romantic suspense books, so I have a feeling that this one will be kind of along the same lines. And this one says she bought this house to save her marriage. Unearthing its secrets might just claim her life. So I'm not sure what's going on with this house, but I am very intrigued and wanting to give this one a try. Following up on that is Into a Golden Era by Gabrielle Meyer, and this is book 7 in the Timeless series. And this series is one of my absolute favorite series that I have ever read. Each story is powerful, impactful, and the main characters, you find yourself literally rooting for them and hoping that their story comes out okay in the end after all the trials that they go through. These are time-crossing novels where you have the main characters who are able to live in 2 and sometimes 3 time periods simultaneously, and they have to choose by a certain age which time period they would like to stay in. And so as you imagine, that is a difficult choice and has a lot of consequences depending on what choice they do make. And this one is Gold Rush and Hollywood Golden Age era. So that makes total sense with the title, Into a Golden Era. Next we have Spies, Lies, and Alibis, and this is a new one by Natalie Walters, and it is actually a spy romance, and this one says, they were each other's first love, now they might be each other's last hope. It says it's perfect for fans of Ally Carter. Spies, Lies, and Alibis is an unputdownable binge fest full of laughs, heart, and mischief. So looks like this one's gonna be fun. A little bit of mystery, a little bit of spies, and a little bit of romance. Maybe a lot of humor. I'm looking forward to seeing what this one's going to be like. Next we have Secrets of Kincaid, Book 3, and this is Silent Menace, written by Angela Carlisle. This series looks really good. I do have the first book and I'm hoping to give it a try also this year, but this looks great. And it says there is financial intrigue, a small town, high stakes, and non-stop action. So this looks really, really good. And now stepping into June with Seeking Revenge. This is a Legends of Neverland book number 5. And this is by Mary Metcham. And this one is a villainous Goldilocks retelling. So we have another fairy tale retelling and a little bit on the darker side. I'm wondering what a villainous Goldilocks retelling is going to be like. And the little blurb says, villains aren't given second chances, they take them. So this one looks like an interesting one. As always, I love fantasy, so I can't wait to discover what happens in this one. This is part of a series that I am hoping to read the entire series, or at least as much as I can of the entire series throughout this year. I don't know if this 5th book is going to be the final book or if this is still going to be ongoing, but I'm hoping to read several of these this year. Next we have Brighter Than Before by Courtney Walsh. I really enjoy Courtney Walsh's stories and I'm excited for another one that is coming out by her. And this one says that it is a witty, warm, and uplifting novel about second chances, found family, and the courage it takes to become yourself. So this looks really good. I always love stories with found family, so I'm excited to see what happens with our main character in this book. And now we have Don't Upstage the Body by Naomi Stevens. I have not read anything by Naomi Stevens, but this looks really intriguing. When I was looking at kind of what it was about, it says it's a British historical whodunit and manor house murder mystery set in the 1950s. And it looks like there's quite a bit of humor involved in this one as well. So this looks like a fun time. I really would like to read something by this author and see what I think and dive into this story because it does look really super intriguing. Then we have The Bachelor Spy, and this is a Freddie and Grace book. This is book number 5 in their series. The first one is The Mistletoe Countess. I was really hoping to read that this last December and just didn't get a chance. There was so much going on with the holidays and with books that I was trying to read in time for Christmas that I did not get that one read. But that one's still on my TBR for 2026 and I am hoping to get into those. So the Freddie and Grace mysteries, they are mysteries with the same 2 main characters that go throughout the entire book series, but each one is its own mystery, and it looks like a lot of them take place in different locations. So I'm excited for that series for sure, and I'm excited that there's another book coming out in that series. And in August comes a new series by one of my favorite suspense authors, and that is Lynette Eason. This is Soldiers in Shadow, and the first book is called Twilight Tactics. And I'll read a little bit about what this one is about. It says FBI agent Colin Sullivan arrives at Broken Chains Ranch with Ollie Callahan, a foster teen and sole witness to a mob hit. The ranch, started by Colin's cousin to provide a trauma recovery facility for veterans, should be a place he can keep Ollie safe until the trial. But what was meant as a peaceful haven becomes a battleground when armed attackers surround the property. So this looks like it's going to be really interesting. There's also a female main character that comes on the scene, and I think she is a survival expert, and she teaches wilderness skills at the ranch. So she's at the scene when all of this takes place, and a lot of, if not all of Lynette Eason's suspense books are romantic suspense, so there is a romance involved usually, so I'm sure there will be a romance between the two main characters, but this looks like a setup for a really intriguing story. I cannot wait to read this. The next one we have is Fatal Finale, and this is Erin Delaney Mysteries #3 by Nancy Mell. I've read a couple of other books by Nancy Mell, and she is a fantastic suspense author. I really enjoy her books. They also are a little bit darker on some of the topics and subject matter in them, but they're really good, really fast paced. And the Erin Delaney series, I cannot wait to read. This is a series that kind of follows the Kaylee Quinn mysteries, and so I needed to read those in order to read the Erin Delaney ones, and so I'm excited to finally get to this series in 2026. And the next one we have is 3 Steps Behind by Dani Petrie. This is part of the Jeopardy Falls series, and this is book #3. I don't know if this is going to be the last one or if there's going to be more coming in this series, but for this one it says it's a thriller suspense novel with mystery, action, adventure, and workplace romance set in New Mexico. Well, that sounds like fun. A book that's set in New Mexico. I don't really hear of very many books that are set in the state of New Mexico. I actually used to live in New Mexico, so I'm looking forward to seeing what happens in this one and where it's actually located and what it's about. And in September, we have Murders in the Marquee by Dana Matink. And this one says, in this witty historical murder mystery set in a San Francisco hotel, an unlikely trio of amateur sleuths must uncover a killer before another guest checks out for good. So something is going on in this hotel, and it sounds like our main characters are going to have an interesting time figuring out what is happening. So this looks like a really interesting story, and I'm excited for that one for sure. And we have a new book coming out by Emma St. Clair, and that is To Have and To Fold. This is book #5 in the Love Stories in Sheet Cake series. I haven't read this series by Emma St. Clair, but I've heard that it's so good. There's a lot of humor, and each book is just amazing. That the male and female leads in each of them are fantastic. So this is book 5 in the series. I have a ways to go to get to this one, but I did recently purchase the first one so that I can start getting into the series, and I'm excited to do that. Each novel has such a fun name, and so I'm excited to really get into these and see what this series is like. And finally, we have Pride and Practicality by Pepper Basham. This is another Jane Austen inspired romance, kind of like her Sense and Suitability. So it's following up on that one. I have heard great things about Sense and Suitability. It is on my list to read in 2026. And Pride and Prejudice is my favorite Jane Austen novel. So I'm looking forward to Pride and Practicality to see kind of what things cross over from the Jane Austen book and what things are completely unique and how she blends those things together. And that is it for this video. Thank you so much if you have watched all the way to this point. I hope that these recommendations give you some good ideas of things to look for that are coming up in 2026 as far as new releases. Again, I'll probably do one maybe in June or something, somewhere mid-year, to capture some of the releases that are coming out later in the year beyond October. And some of these, especially the last couple of books I mentioned, they don't necessarily have all the information out yet. So it's hard to find like the covers and things like that to go along with those books. But I'm excited for those, and like I said, I hope you get some fun reads out of this list for 2026. Thank you for spending this time with me. I appreciate you all so very much. And as always, remember to keep following your dreams and believing in the magic of this thing called life. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you again soon.